What was the learning? Let's come to the third and the most important question. How you are going to use this in future? How you are going to use it in future?
Sensitize
Very
the
good.
Play a role as a mentor, be a mentor, and then apply whatever gains from here. We'll try to do listeners and try to listen patiently and have compassion to them, and whenever feasible, we be available to them, to the students, to the mentees. Try to solve their problems.
How do you use it?
First of all, we all need to introspect ourselves, like what qualities do we need to learn as a mentor. Then we have to work on that quality, on improvement or ourselves.
Very bits of the world. Back and back. Okay, introspection. That's one of the very important things. We take things at face value. Don't really look at the meaning of these things. What is happening? Why we are doing this? And thank you for sharing that opinion. And you got one example. You went back and applied that. I am still surprised that no one of you has mentioned that we can use jigsaw puzzle for teaching our students. So one approach was what we did. You give the material to them and they read there, sitting there, and then prepare something. The other approach could be you divide the students and tell them, okay, you read about etiology of anemia, you read about diagnosis of anemia, you read about treatment of anemia, and you read about prevention of it. And then come back and share with them. So that's another way of applying some of these things. Okay. Now, what we have been doing since morning, just remember, we'll come back to it. So what we discussed? What happened? What did we learn? And how we are learning. Okay. So I'll come back to it. Just remember that come to make use of the program. In fact, if we look at what published experience says, then 65 to 70% of the students would not. Everywhere. It's not that we have a special problem, so they are not coming. Any place, any college, everywhere, 65 to 70 will not. And who are these 65 to 70? The first category who don't need medicine. Maybe about 30-40%. There is no need. They are comfortable studying, they are comfortable reading, they know what they have to do, they are very clear about their approach and future goals. So they don't need. That is one category. Second is the Superman. This is the group. मुझे सब पता है आप क्या बताओगे and there are students in your class मुझे सब पता है in fact when we please don't take it other way but when we were about to start this program we had people saying मुझे सब पता है आप क्या बताओगे so it is there it will happen that is the second category. And probably they also don't need it. Maybe they are. Third, the Devdasis. You know, these are the people who say, मेरी तो प्रॉब्लम इतनी ज्यादा है कि nobody can. And unfortunately, these are the people who need mentoring most. But they not come because they think क्या बात है, क्या करोगे? आप कर ही नहीं सकते, इतनी परेशानी है आप प्रॉब्लम नहीं सॉल्व कर ही नहीं सकते. So that is the next activity. And only about 25 to 30% of the students would regularly go for mentoring sessions. No, we don't have to discourage because only 1/3 are coming, others are not able to come. Whatever proportion is coming, we should help them. And then, as I said, little while ago, the word of mouth, when they go back and discuss with their friends in the hostel, in the canteen, somewhere, then probably these things would pick up and it would come. I'll share my experience when I was doing my master's in Netherlands. We had this mentoring program running and it was compulsory for everybody to have 2 mentoring sessions before you could write the examination. Every 6 months the exams were there. So that means in a 6 months period, you were required to compulsorily have 2 mentoring sessions. That means the mentor and you will sign there, okay, we have done. And there were different kind of things. For example, I would go, she'll ask me, okay, I said, okay, fine, come, okay. And then there was another gentleman from neighboring country who had a lot of issues. He had 2 hours, 3 hours meeting. So it went on different. So if a student says, I have no issues, then don't have to necessarily, nahi hai, kaise nahi hai, nikaalunga na issue. Don't try to force your choice on it. But a good way of starting mentoring session is a discussion on, and these are 2 things which are easily available to us. One is attendance. And second is results. These provide a very good opportunity for you to begin a discussion on mentoring. Now, when there is an attendance shortage, there could be various reasons, but the most important reason are 2. One, that they don't find your classes useful. Attendance ही लगवानी होती है कि तुम सोते रहते हैं, या पीछे बैठ के attendance in the class, या पीछे बैठ के हम मोबाइल पर खेलते रहते हैं. That is one reason. And second, they are interested, but they are not able to understand what you are saying. And this is a common issue. लैंग्वेज प्रॉब्लम हो सकती है, या आपकी स्पीड की प्रॉब्लम हो सकती है, आपका जिस लेवल पे आप डील कर रहे हो उसकी प्रॉब्लम हो सकती है, और यू माइट बी टीचिंग समथिंग विच अकॉर्डिंग टू देम इज नॉट इम्पोर्टेंट फॉर नीट और नेक्स्ट और सिमिलर एग्जामिनेशन, सो दे आर नॉट इंटरेस्टेड. You teach them something about ABC, probably they will be interested. You try teaching them something about communication, they will not feel interested. So these are in fact 2 areas which actually help you to start the discussion. And believe me, most of the students, including most of us, I included, have an issue with how to study or how to read. I'm sure in your batches, when you were a student, there must be somebody who would come and say, I read Gray's Anatomy from page 1 to 1600 5 times. And then you would be feeling depressed. If 5 बार पढ़ गया तो मैंने तो 1 बार भी नहीं पढ़ी. Or somebody would come, I read Harrison 3 times. And then you are wondering, what do I do? So this will always be there. And what's important to realize is that at the time of birth, all our brains are similar in terms of size, in terms of capacity, in terms of memory and in terms of recall. Only problem is how you have programmed it. I'm dealing with a small grandchild. So it's very interesting. Suddenly from a clean hard drive, you have to program the person. Keep on adding things, keep on adding language, motor skills, behaviors, social skills, so on. So your programming makes a lot of difference. And this may be one of the reasons why students from rural area, for example, are not that quote unquote bright as compared to those coming from urban areas. Somebody from say Delhi or Bombay who is traveling 20 kilometers every day from home to school and then going to a coaching center would obviously seem better as compared to somebody who just walks half a kilometer to school and comes back and that's all. No mall, no friends, no internet, nothing. So that makes a lot of difference. So how can you ensure that everybody actually reaches the same thing? And I repeat this thing very frequently, that they have come to the medical college or dental college or nursing college or whatever. They have already shown their superiority. 25 lakh students a year. And out of those, 1 lakh who enter the professional colleges definitely are better. So we cannot say that they have issues with understanding or they have problems with learning. So 3 important things you need to keep in mind. 1 is learning in context. 2nd, cumulative learning. And 3rd, organization of the material that you. Now, learning in context is one of the most important yet most neglected thing in our curriculum. I hope you know and understand the difference between adult learning and child learning. Children learn for the sake of learning. Without bothering what they are going to do with it. That's not their pattern. But adults will not do that. And many of you, for example, who have come to this session, would have come after analyzing in their mind कि मैं क्या करूँगा इसका? मेरे काम का है कि नहीं? इतनी जोर से सिगरेट खा But students don't have that choice. आप उनको क्रेप साइकिल पढ़ा देते हो, पर बताते नहीं हो कि उसका भैया करना क्या है। हम उनको आर्चेस ऑफ फुट पढ़ाने में 1 हफ्ता लगा देते हैं। मुझे तो आज तक नहीं समझ में आया कि वो 1 हफ्ता मेरे टीचर ने क्यों लगाया था। A few days ago, I was in one of the meetings like this. After mentoring for the teachers, I do it for the students. So I was telling something to the student, and one student got up and said, "Sir, I am waiting for 5 years to know why I was taught website." I said, "Beta, you are fortunate. I am waiting for 35 years to find out why they got testing."
Sir, मेरा ना बेटा 10th तक हम लोग ठीक ठाक ही 9th तक हम पास कर गए हैं सब कुछ। 10th जो है कोविड करके ऑनलाइन एग्जाम्स अच्छे नंबर आ गए। क्लास 1 से नॉन मेडिकल और हम भाई नंबर आ गए एडमिशन के लिए। मेरा सर पापा मेरा दिमाग खाली सी ये लगी कहता था हमने सब कुछ पढ़ा तो हमें
So how can you teach learning in context? That's a part. And for all disciplines, the same things are applicable. One, that you can actually begin your class with a short history of a patient. So if you have to teach Krebs cycle, begin with the story about a diabetic. Begin with a little story about a person who was rejected from recruitment in the army because he had flat foot. Begin with story of a person who has chronic back pain.
Right.
And then you teach what you want. Pramod will remember Professor Ram Narayan. He was the Vice Chancellor of Pune University, and his lecture on how to take a lecture is a memorable thing. Pramod, can you share the link? So we'll share the link today. And he says, my students had lot of issues understanding scoliosis and lordosis. So the moment I started my teaching, I would say in the past there were lots. Now the concept is clear. Lordosis. What is lordosis?
Exactly.
So having small examples, case vignettes, photographs, stories, these are all some of the things which actually create an atmosphere for the students to learn and understand why they are being taught this. See, हम तो नॉवल भी ऐसे नहीं पढ़ते. Even when we read novel, we ask ourselves, करेगा नहीं करेगा, अच्छा है नहीं है. But we expect the students to read everything, but we teach them. So bring context. Unless you bring context, it will become difficult for them to understand the importance and to learn. And at the same time, when you assess is contextual. Those of you who have just finished the faculty development program, you must have realized what we are saying. Don't just have an MCQ which is standard. Have an MCQ which puts a little story and then ask a question related to that. So they link it to what they have learned and they link it to how they are going to use it. Second is what is called cumulative. And we do not relearn every time you face a new situation. See, by putting a utensil on a stove, it will get heated. You learned it. Now, every time you go into the kitchen, you don't have to relearn this thing. Then you learn, okay, can I heat it in the microwave also? Or how can I save gas while I am heating something? So those additional things are all right. But basic things, you learn something and then on top of that, you build something. So that is what is called cumulative. Many of the students who come to you have already learned a lot of anatomy, physiology, biochemistry in their plus 2. You don't have to restart. You can actually start from what they already know. So that will save time for you, for them. Only just take a quick test, a revision, highlight what they don't know, and start. Second is activation of prior knowledge. Everything that you, for example, you want to learn acid-base regulation. Now to understand acid-base regulation, you have to know the role of lungs, you have to know the role of kidneys, then only you can understand acid-base. So if you don't activate prior knowledge, then learning will not happen. And how do you activate prior knowledge? Some example. How do you activate prior knowledge? Asking questions related to? Okay, tell me, what will lungs do when there is accumulation of carbon dioxide in the body? So you have activated prior knowledge. And interestingly, if somebody asks what is the definition of a difficult topic, so a difficult topic is which requires more prior knowledge. So if you are not able to activate prior knowledge, every topic will become difficult. So please keep that in mind. Third is the reflection. What we did this morning, So what happened? What did you learn? And how you are going to use it in future is basically how you reflect. And this reflection actually emerges as one of the most important factors. So this is what happens. You have certain experiences like doing, reading, observing, and then you reflect on that. And then suddenly, मैंने ऐसा कभी सोचा ही नहीं था, ऐसे भी होता है. That is where learning happens. Just knowing something doesn't really make you learn. It is only that what in our terminology we call aha moment. Suddenly you are reading and then you say, ऐसा तो सोचा ही नहीं, ऐसे भी हो सकता है. That is where most of the learning will actually happen. And then you use it in your daily routine and practice. So if we want to really summarize how is reflection, then it is what happened, so what next. There are many other ways of writing reflection. I don't want to confuse you with so many different techniques and methods, etc. etc. And please remember that it is not necessary to always write them. Even in your class, before you start the next lecture, just simply asking, okay, what did we do yesterday? What did you learn? Is good. When you have taken a case presentation, they have presented some case to you. At the end of it, ask, what did you learn? You try this, and believe me, most of them will only repeat what they did. Most of them will not go to what did they learn. It is only you have to drill them into their mind. That what you did, okay, but what did you learn is different from what you did. So keep that in mind. And it is actually very rightly pointed out that reading without reflection is like eating without digesting. Another quote which you must have read or heard somewhere, that we don't learn from experience. We learn from reflecting on that experience. Har cheez, not only studies. You go to book a ticket, you don't get it, come back and think, why I did it. मेरे को पहले ऐसे करना था, फिर ऐसे करना था, तब नहीं आता. And that's true for everything. And that is where real learning actually happens. Third is what is called organizing the material. Fortunately or unfortunately, our mind doesn't have folders. Like a computer, where you can create folders and keep different pieces of information at different places. Your mind doesn't have folders. Fortunately, your mind doesn't have a delete button also. So whatever goes in actually stays there. Only thing is, it gets buried deeper and deeper and deeper under the debris, to the extent that when you actually require it, you are not able to recall. And most of the times, so-called weak students are the ones, not that they don't know, they are the ones who cannot recall at the right time. तो इम्तिहान में वाइवा में याद नहीं आता, बाहर निकल के फिर सारी कहानी आपको सुनाती. So, for better organization of material, one when you are studying and second when you are listening to a lecture. So these are two things I am going to tell you. One is during semester. Have you heard this technique, SQ3R? Interestingly, last month I was at AIMS Kalyani and I was talking to students. And the moment I started talking about this, everyone said, we have read. So maybe now they are more aware of how they should be reading. Possibly because of net and net search and all those things. These are easy to read. So what basically SQ3R is, Don't read a book from page 1 to page last. Because you might keep getting information, but you will not be able to retrieve the right information. So what this technique is, first is to survey. Flip through the pages. क्या है क्या डिस्कस किया कौन सा चैप्टर है किस लेवल पे किया है डायग्राम्स हैं कि नहीं है एग्जांपल्स दिए हैं कि नहीं दिए हैं लैंग्वेज कैसी है सर्वे कौन से टॉपिक में पढ़ सकता हूँ इस किताब से कौन से टॉपिक में नहीं ठीक पढ़ पाऊंगा मुझे किसी और किताब से पढ़ना है and so many other things which you have to question this. Third is obviously read. Fourth, and this is something which again we neglect, the side. सुना नहीं आता कोई बात बोलो चलो आगे बोलो
Baba, black sheep, have you any rule? Yes sir, 3 bags full. 1 for my master, 1 for the day, 1 for the little boy who lives down the lane.
कब पढ़ा था
Sir, अभी recently अपनी बेटी को
नेशनल कब पढ़ा था लास्ट स्कूल में पर आता तो है आई एम श्योर यू कैन स्पीक आउट द नेशनल और क्यों कर सकते हैं ऐसे सोसाइटी आपकी मैडम फिर से बोलो और सिर्फ बोलो ही नहीं यू नो खड़े हो चिल्लाओ शोर मचाओ एक्साइट हो एनी लर्निंग which is associated with emotions, positive emotions, is remembered for a long period of time. Any learning which is associated with bad emotions, आप लेक्चर लेने आए अपने स्टूडेंट को डांट दिया तो रेस्ट एश्योर्ड कि वो लेक्चर तो गया उसका वो कभी नहीं याद रख पाएगा बिकॉज ही हैज टू फॉरगेट दैट बैड थिंग सो ही फॉरगेट्स द लेक्चर बट इफ इट इज समथिंग यू नो खेलते थे चिल्लाते थे फ्रेंड्स होते थे साथ में आज भी आते नेक्स्ट रिव्यू किताब बंद कर दो और फिर बोलो और फिर खोल के देखो कि कितना सही बोला कितना गलत बोला एंड रीड अगेन डिसाइड करने के और एडवांटेजेस होते हैं व्हेन यू आर रीडिंग यू आर यूजिंग ओनली वन सेंस दैट इज द विजुअल व्हेन यू आर reciting you are using verbal you are using oral and you are getting excited so if for example you ask the students okay list 5 causes of pain and abdomen everybody come on and I'm sure Dr. Pramod will not mind the noise that comes out from the classes. We have to really have a big drop silence. Second, during the class, please remember that human mind cannot do 2 things at a time. You cannot write and learn. आप एक ही काम कर सकते हो या तो लिख दो या सीख दो Look at the stenographers. They take hundreds of pages of dictation. शाम को घंटा के कुछ नहीं याद होता कि क्या टाइप किया था इधर से आया इधर से चला गया I don't know, that's what actually gives lecture its definition. A process by which notes of the teacher become notes of the student without going through mind of time. So this is one of the techniques which you can use and I have been using it almost exclusively for all my classes. So what you do? Divide your 1 hour into 3 slots of 20 minutes each. You speak for 15 minutes, but before speaking, ask them to close their notebooks. Nothing to do. After you have spoken, ask them to write from memory what they learned. If they want, they can discuss with their neighbor, their friend. If they want, they can ask you. Again, please remember, there will be a lot of noise. Encourage that. Expect that. When you see everybody has finished writing, okay, close your notebooks again, you start another session. So, break it into 3 parts. Give them a dedicated time for writing. This has 2 advantages. One, that it allows attention to listen without the pressure to write. One. Second, if they are writing from memory, then they are actually processing the information in their mind. And that is one of the most important things. If you don't process the information, then you do not. And you can actually use this kind of a notebook. So 2 inches margin on left and 2 inches margin at the bottom. And they should be using only this part to make notes. Once they have made notes, on this margin, they write what are the main ideas, questions that can connect the point, they can make some diagram, they can add some prompts which will help them to study further, and a little summary. Now it helps for revision. You are writing some questions here, you cover this part, try answering the questions, and then open that and compare it with what you have written. So that actually makes it easier for you. And if you are interested in that, it is called a Cornell note-taking system because it originated from University of Cornell. And in fact, last time also I said, Manipal University has printed notebooks like this. So in the campus, when the students get notebooks, they are printed in this format so that they can make notes in exactly this format. So let's break for a cup of tea and then we will reassemble after 15 minutes. Modify your lectures accordingly. And as I said, shortage of attendance and not so good results actually provide very good opportunity for you to discuss with the students. So if you call somebody, okay, can we talk about your result? And especially if you are not the teacher. Because if you are a teacher, then they will have all the hesitation. But if you are not the teacher, then they will probably be open to you. I need to understand that I have a problem with English, I am not able to apply what is taught to me, or whatever they have to say. So, next 30 minutes or so, discuss on your tables, how can we translate into a program? So that if we have to start, or rather I would say restart mentorship program, then what we are going to do. So basically you focus on when, how, who, and what. So when can we do? Every day, every month, every week, whatever. Who should do it? Subject teacher, others, same institution, same department, other colleges. What should be done? And how it should be. And then we will share the experiences. We will give you chart papers and pens. So please first discuss about how we can go about starting or restarting the program, and then we will discuss what modifications will be required.
Same college and different college. I think it should be the same college. दूसरे कॉलेज अपन नॉलेज है ना अपन लेवल भी
numbers we should take So this is the first beginning, and then we start and we explain to us. But most of them the coordinators advise
We want more inputs. We want to improvise what has already happened. Don't go with कि हमारे कॉलेज में नहीं है.
अभी कैसे
listening to the mentor.
depending on the
But that is continuing for all the years, no? The same.
एक कंपल्सरी मीटिंग होगी कंपल्सरी
fix like we have fixed it Monday to the 14th. It's compulsory mentor meeting 3 monthly.
Good afternoon, everyone. We are going to discuss about how we can plan the mentorship program initially. As we are professional doctors, we all know the earlier the better, earlier the diagnosis, better the treatment. This is all about the treatment plan we have to make. The contents for this are the when, how, what and when. Starting from the first part that we have is the when. When means initially how we have to start. We have first we will have the students from the first year. At the time of admission, we have first step, that is the orientation program. During the orientation program, we can first implement this when part. At that time only, we'll dedicated mentors, will not bias. We can have the draw system, we can have the HODs to specify a specific person for a different, and each mentor should have the 10 students, and this should progress longitudinally for the whole 5 years to specify the problems, solutions, whatever, in the next following steps. Then basically means we all should know the recipe. If we know the recipe, we can have the better food, we can have the better taste. Basically, this all works on the ingredients. If we know that this food should have this ingredient, then definitely we'll have the better food at the end. Better food here means we should have the better results in terms of academics, in terms of extracurricular. Yeah. So, who all can be there in implementing this recipe or program, we can say? Interdisciplinary faculty should be there. Interdisciplinary means AIDSR can impart their role in AIDSR or other specialities which we have here in Adesh University. Then also it should not be forced, because sometimes forceful things are not going to happen in a better result. So they should have the option. First, if they will be having the gain from that mentor, or they are good, having good relation with the mentor, then it's fine. If they are finding difficulties in understanding, then they should have the option to change, but with a valid reason, and they should also be cross through with the higher HODs or whatever will be the specialty of that person. Then what all should be included? First, we are professionals. We are more focused on the academics. Academics should be checked like timely, and all the things should be noticed other than academics, like hostel facilities, food, behavior, interactions with the senior, junior. And we have a special system that I don't know about the other field, but AIDSR has a special system of SC cell, where student experiences are shared, checked, evaluated, and solved at the end, each problem. Finally, how we can do this? As I already told, we should have a roll number wise allotment of 10 students, should be allotted one mentor. Then there should be a fixed meeting time. Fixed meeting time can be categorized as monthly, optional, that can be the optional, but with a fixed time period, like 2 to 3, whatever is the suitable time for the mentor, he or she can fix 2 to 3, 3 to 4, whatever it is. That is the optional, but a fixed time. Then next is the compulsory meeting that we can plan either monthly, 2 monthly, 3 monthly, that we can arrange as per our schedule. Then after this compulsory meeting, we should make a plan. We should have a graph, basically either pie diagram or graph, that can reflect the result of this meeting, reflect the student's experience, academics result, what are they facing through the clinics, whatever is there, the difficulties, about all the branches are there, this should be reflected either in a pie diagram or in a graph, and that should be cross-checked or drafted in to a higher authority. Higher authority will go through that, and finally they can have a meeting how we can correct or we can help it to have a better result. Then there is something called a voluntary meeting. The voluntary means if either of the two are person is somehow missed or wants voluntary meeting by himself or herself, he or she can, priorly, student should inform to the mentor, can I come to this time or will you be available by this period of time. Accordingly, they can schedule this voluntary meeting with their mentors and solve the issue. Then we have planned 4 M's for this plan for the mentorship. That is mandatory monthly mentor meetings. After all these, we have experiences the points of the mentees. Mentees have shared their problems, whatever it is. But finally, their problem, students' problem will be almost same. Different views will be there. And at the end, we should plan a meeting between the mentors, what all they are facing and how different mentors are able to solve that problem. We can, with this, we can have different views from the mentors because mentors are more experienced than the mentees. So at the end, definitely we'll have better ideas and better outcome. That's it from our side. Thank you so much.
Feedback also that we want to take feedback towards the end, I mean, that from the students, anonymous kind of feedback, that are they satisfied or they want to add something to that program, the proceedings of the mentorship program.
Any questions from the other groups on what is not clear in their plan or you want to ask?
And in the monthly mentor meeting, what we have decided that every mentor should also meet in a month, that they should also talk about what feedback they are getting from other students, that how we can improvise upon the
Share their
experiences, what your group of students are saying, what our group are saying, are the problems same, are the problems different, and feedback also we need to share.
So feedback from mentees as well as feedback from mentors. Any clarifications or inputs you have to their plan? Anything you want to ask them which is not clear or you want to?
We will discuss.
Your own. Okay.